Hey, what's up guys? This is Anthony from Anthony's Customs, and for this review, we are looking at the Marvel Legends Jean Grey Phoenix Force Phoenix. And some of you thought this was the best thing ever, some of you thought it was the worst. I know because when I reviewed this figure, people were commenting about it. So, I don't know yet. I haven't looked at it that close, other than I took it out of the package and put it on the stand. So we're going to see by the end of the review what I think about it and if it's actually any good. So let's go ahead and get it off the stand and take a closer look. Alright, so before we look at the figure, I do want to show you my package. It's not the completely current packaging where it's got like the beige background, but it is the square packaging, so that's interesting. Maybe that was only the 85 years packaging, and we're going to see more like this, which I prefer a lot. I don't like the 85 as much because it's a little drab, but these look nice. These boxes are pretty good looking, so that's cool. That's not really what the figure's head looks like. That's interesting. Or the stand. Misleading as heck there. But otherwise, hey, that's a good photo. We can use that as reference later. Otherwise, it's a good package for you inbox collectors. I probably would have switched to these because this cuts down right here and the figure is tall. So the figure should be on this side. But they want left to right. I get it. Whatever. Okay. Typical packaging. So, let's go ahead and look at the figure. I'll note this is in stock at Big Bad Toy Store if you guys want to get one. I don't know if you're going to want to, though. We'll see by the end of the review. Alright, this figure stands just about 6 1/4 inches, just a bit shy of that. That's going to make it roughly 15.5 centimeters. Here she is up against Darwin. Darwin's been doing stuff. He's a little bit taller than her. That's about average. And here she is up against the Mafex version of the same thing. Alright, this came out just a little bit ago. I finally got around to reviewing it. Let's just move that. Alright, so Mafex is a touch shorter. Alright, and obviously a very different style, and I know people want to compare things. And I'll tell you right now, neither of them is perfect, not even close. Both of them have some serious issues. So it's going to come down to personal preference, which you prefer. Obviously this has a higher level of finish. This is a cheaper figure. Certain things are good about both of them, so you check out this review if you want to. I'll put it up there or in the description depending on which platform you're using, but we're going to focus on this figure here because that's what the review is for. Alright, I would also like to note, I mentioned the thing about it seems like some people really like this and some people didn't in the beginning. People like to say, oh, I either just try to follow the consensus or I try to go against it or whatever. I don't know what the consensus is. I'm not active on social media outside of YouTube, not really, and the only input I get from people on figures is in my comment section. That's it. So some people, like, it's very few people, relatively speaking, commenting on these things. So I can't go against or with the consensus regardless. I don't know what it is. Not fully, anyway. So just wanted to put that out there. I don't know what the consensus is. I mean, most Hasbro people are going to love Hasbro products regardless, and so that's like, I can assume people are going to love it, but I don't know. I have heard a couple things about this figure, mostly talking about the head, and we'll get to that. So, let's get into the aesthetic, but first a question of the day. What do you think about Hasbro upcharging a figure a lot for a base, for a display stand sort of thing? Now this one, I'll just tell you right now, it's pretty dang cool. I'll put that out there right now, but to me, I don't think a display stand warrants the price hike like this figure had. But let me know what you guys think. Okay, so let's get into the aesthetic. It's your go-to Marvel Legends, really. There's nothing special here. It has that new body, which is really just to say it has an extra joint in the torso. And it has butterfly joints. There's a lot of air quotes on this. It's because, yeah, there's new stuff here, but does it significantly impact the figure? Well, I mean, this joint definitely adds some range. We'll get to that, and same thing with the butterflies. But that's about it. Like, it's not a markedly better sculpt or anything. The boobs look really weird. The boobs look like the worst fake boob job ever. I gotta just be honest. I'll put that out there. Right in the front, it's a really weird boob job looking boob job type of thing. And I'm just gonna say boob job as much as I can. Breast augmentation. Sorry, YouTube. I should have been more politically correct. But it's I don't know. It's a thing. I don't like that sculpt. Anyway, it's not a fancy figure. The greens that they painted on the gold parts to match well enough. If you look at the arm here, this part doesn't match very well. But the ones that aren't painted poorly, this one's okay, and then the legs are okay. But it's still just painted on. It still looks really, really cheap in that sense. Now, the Phoenix logo on the chest does look much better. They did a good job with that. Nice and crisp and sharp. So that's okay. There's a little bit of something on the boobage right there. Unfortunate. But that's it for paint. That is it for paint, not counting the head. So it does. It just looks like a very, very cheap figure. It looks like your average Marvel Legends. So let's go ahead and look at the head sculpt and the head paint job. I like that the hair has shading in it. That's a good thing. It makes it come to life a little bit. The face is creepy as hell. It's technically a clean enough paint job, but they're going for that hyper realistic look, but also like she's definitely a stalker slash serial killer. So I don't like that, not even a little bit. And then just because it's an accessory, we'll talk about this a little bit more later, but I want to talk about it now. That looks like she's an alien, not being funny there, the Phoenix thing. But the face sculpt is just weird, and the way they space the eyes and everything, it's also kind of hyper realistic, but also creepy as hell and doesn't look like it's supposed to. She's supposed to be pretty, and none of these faces are pretty, not even a little bit. I mean, there you go. We don't have one that looks like that at all. Not the hair, don't care about the crazy hair. Crazy hair works in comics, not on action figures. But, like, she's supposed to be pretty. And neither of these are. These are creepy looking, unpleasant faces. So, I definitely agree with the people who said she had bad head sculpts and faces. I could go with the hair, either way, that's fine. But the sculpt and paint for the faces, not a fan. So, for me, this is just another run-of-the-mill Marvel Legends figure. They added some articulation, that's good, but it's not exactly groundbreaking, you know? Hasbro adding basic articulation is not special. So, I'll give it a 7 for Marvel Legends for the aesthetic. It is just another Marvel Legends Phoenix figure. It's not special. Now, as far as accessories go, I did mention the alternate head already, so you get the 2 different hairs and faces, and they're not swappable, so that's a thing. But you don't really need to, although it would be nice. But yeah, it's okay if you're okay with the head sculpt. But then this is the thing. This is the thing to talk about right here, the Phoenix display stand, which you kind of have to assemble yourself. But it does look really nice overall. For a Marvel Legends display stand, I was not expecting it to look this nice. The sculpt is quite detailed. And the colors are pretty good. You can see it's got a lot of detail in there. It almost looks like fur instead of flames in some spots, but I can let that slide. But yeah, it looks good. I like the way the feathers are kind of... Well, maybe I don't know. How do you guys feel about this? They go from fiery to very... like hard edge. It almost looks like archangel wings. So that's kind of a strange... At first I liked it, now I'm not sure how I feel about that. It's a weird look, but it's still cool overall. So yeah, it gets the display stand, which is nice, and it is big. But is it worth the price point? I don't know. I'm guessing this figure is going to continue to get marked down regularly. It did already a lot. I also don't like that she has to be supported this way, but we'll talk about that in just a second. So yeah, it's a big display stand. Is it big enough? I don't think so. I think for the price point, it should be a lot bigger. Like, she hides most of it with her body. So that's not great. Now you're going to say, well, this one didn't come with anything. That's true, it didn't. But if this one goes on sale and you can get it for really cheap, you could mix the two. If you think the Mafex one looks much better, you could mix the two, and then you might have a better looking display. That's my hunch that some people are going to do that. But it's fine. I was impressed at first, but then the more I looked at it, it's just like, it's not special. The neck articulates. I guess that's a good thing if you want it to do that. I like that. That gives you some option. But otherwise, it's just not enough for the money, if you ask me. So that's a thing. I'll go 7 out of 10 for accessories. So let's just set that aside. Oh yeah, no, let's talk about this. So she has to be held in to this stand in that hole with her ankle. So you have her entire weight on one ankle at an angle. And so it doesn't really... It's not a good design. Like, you can rotate it and try to get her to stand up straight, but it doesn't. It's not going to hold the figure properly, and she's going to be wobbly and definitely sag over time for sure. And this is not like an action display. This is like you set her in it and never touch it again, so she's going to end up sagging like this on your display. Not a good design. There should be a peg here. There should be a peg right here and a hole right here, and she just pegs into it. That way it holds her up. So yeah, it's like Hasbro tries to do something, but they just will not put the effort in or thought into making it the way it should be. So that's unfortunate. All right, let's get into the articulation, because this is that new body that's super fancy, if everybody's telling me. Let's see. All right, so double ball peg head, which is worthless, doesn't work because the ball peg just really doesn't move at all. And also, if you look at it close enough, you can see it's 2 different finishes of black with an ugly cut. The finishes look worse in person, by the way. But yeah, why? Why is that a thing, Hasbro? Why'd you do that? Shouldn't do that. So the neck doesn't work for crap. She can rotate her head and bit. That's basically it. The butterfly joint is there. Minimal range. And now some of you are going to say, but it's range and I want it, and that's totally your prerogative. That's totally fine. It's not like it kills the sculpt on this figure. So yeah, it's not a bad thing. But once again, it's a butterfly joint that doesn't butterfly very much. It doesn't do a whole lot. So there you go. Shoulders are otherwise pretty standard, pretty good shoulders. Bicep swivel is fine. Double jointed elbows, the most groundbreaking technology for Hasbro on female figures. What's with the flashing going on here? That's weird. But yeah, the elbows work. Wrists obviously have a swivel and a hinge. Diaphragm joint on this figure. Leans back nicely, so that's good. Leans forward, almost none. Side to side is okay. Rotation is there. That's okay. You get this ab crunch, which, without having a waist twist, is still quite average, or as they say, I guess nowadays, mid. So you can lean her back extra far if you really want to do that and give her that pregnant belly. Like, what is that? Why? Why is anybody doing this? Nobody's doing this on this figure specifically, but that doesn't look good. That's ridiculous. What is the point of that? That's one of the ugliest things I've seen, frankly. Not good. She can lean super far forward. I guess you could do that, but to add that really ugly joint that also still is hideous and makes this not look good, can we pull that down? Can we try to do that? Yeah, you can get it down a little bit, but that gets in the way then. But is that something that's needed? This joint is not a good joint, guys. It's not good. Especially with this. This should be a ball peg down here. They could have easily hidden the ball peg in the pelvis, and it would have been wonderful. Instead, they do this joint that is definitely not a strong addition to the action figure industry. That's terrible. All right, for the hips, let's see. Going out to the side, a little bit better than 45. And then going forward, they get up to almost horizontal, pretty close, so that's fine. And then you get your thigh swivel, double jointed knees. This is all standard stuff we've seen for about 15 years now. And then for the ankles, they go all the way back and all the way forward, and ankle rocker is pretty steep, but okay. So, yeah, it's got a couple new points of articulation. So I guess that's good. The butterfly joints are a fine addition. They don't do much, but they're okay. And then the waist is not a benefit really at all. Like, technically, not having anything here is worse. But also, if you're never going to use this joint, it's just ugly and budget spendy for no real reason. Like, nobody bends that way where their stomach sticks forward in the front and then they lean back. It's just, it looks ridiculous. So articulation, still getting only a 7 out of 10. This is not special articulation at all. So, time for the final verdict. Is this the super duper Phoenix that it should be and nobody's ever going to need another one? No, you know Hasbro doesn't do that. They don't make figures where you're not going to ever need another one. They make figures that sound really good and get you to want to buy them, but then when you get them in hand, you're pretty disappointed and think, well, maybe they'll do it better next time. And that's their plan. Ugly faces, the stand is cool, but not cool enough to justify itself, and the figure is really just not impressive. Not thrilled with it. I'm not particularly thrilled with this one either. Let's do another question of the day. Both greens seem wrong to me, but isn't the dark green extra wrong? Shouldn't it be light green? Even Hasbro's artwork on the package has it being light green. So let me know what you guys think about that. Maybe there's a version where she's got the dark green, but I'm not familiar with it. This is pretty close, but it's also a little bit limey. Anyway, neither one's a perfect figure, not even close, and I don't think we're there yet for Phoenix. I think we may yet have more to look forward to, unfortunately. If it was me, I would wait for this to get super cheap. I would buy this, we'll buy the whole set, get rid of this, and use the old Phoenix figure that came in the Cyclops 2-pack. That's the one for me. I should have pulled that out. I forgot it existed until just now. Anyway, it's okay. I'm going to give it an overall rating of 7 out of 10. Too expensive to justify all of the problems with it. The stand is super cool for what it is, but just not cool enough for the price. So, there it is, guys. Thanks for watching. Let me know what you think in the comment section below, but that's it from me. If you haven't subscribed, you might want to. I have new videos just about every single day, and thousands already on the channel. So make sure you come back for all of that. And in the meantime, keep collecting.